This is the Platinum Podcast.
Sham, welcome to the Platinum Podcast.
Thank you.
I'm very excited to have you in here.
Mm-hmm.
I know this could get real weird real quick, but we'll keep it nice and sane.
Mm-hmm.
At least early days, like we'll ease people in gently. I think that's the rational thing to do.
Okay.
I'd love for you to give people a little bit of a background before we get on to the more fun stuff. A bit about your background, what kind of industry, what you've been involved in your life.
So I'm 43, and probably since I was about 4, I've been in the personal development meditation world because my dad is an esoteric genius of sorts and taught meditation and personal development and emotional freedom technique. So I grew up with that. And in my teens, I kind of backed away from it, time to be cool and not time to be spiritual. And then in my 20s, when I was kind of feeling the difficulties of balancing my life with university, I spent 7 years at university. I've got a law degree, honours in philosophy and a certificate in anthroposophy. So I really went down the academic route, but could kind of feel a disconnection from my soul. So I got back into some of the practices and started diving into more of the personal development world again. And then I had 2 children and became CEO of a big business, and I was teaching personal development in a sales training context and obviously raising my kids. And then I got cervical cancer, and I kind of grew up with the idea that anything that shows up in the body has to do with energy and has to do with emotion. So I'm like, okay, something's off here, something's not right. And spoke to a few people about how I can explore how this came about. And one of my friends said, oh, there's a shaman in town who works with cancer, and I think you should see him. I didn't know that he was also a tantric master. That was later to be revealed. But he started working with me shamanically, and shamanism.
Can I pause you just there? Just for anyone who doesn't really get that, what does that mean, working with you shamanically?
So shamanism, to put it really simply, is based on this idea that where attention goes, energy flows. So if we're placing our attention on something that is in another realm of reality, then our attention is going to go there. And where you can take shamanism really depends on what your intention is. So maybe your intention is to look at the darkness within, or to clear trauma, or to face your fear of death. And then as you place your attention there, energy is going to go there. And then sometimes plant medicine is used to assist. I didn't use plant medicine. It was just more energetic body work. So yeah, I had a session with him, and it was pretty wild. It went for 5 hours, and there was a lot of emotion coming up and black birds coming out of my shoulders and all this trippy shit. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And I kept working with him, and what got uncovered is that I had a lot of repressed anger inside of me. And then I started having memories of sexual abuse, and that took me into Tantra. And Tantra is really a tradition or a body of teachings which contain methods to come home to your body. So what I realized is that I was very dissociated. I was kind of using my consciousness and my intellect and knowledge as a way to escape from what I was feeling, and even using meditation and affirmations and personal development tools as a way of escaping. So Tantra was my initiation into the body and finding safety to be in the body.
What does that mean to have safety in your body?
It's to really be here in the body and feeling what's happening instead of distracting. So, Tantra has many connotations to it. Some people think it's all about sex because it's the only spiritual tradition that doesn't exclude it. But sexuality is just one small part, right? So it kind of covers all of the human experience. And it works with how can we actually be here in the body, feeling our pleasure fully and feeling our pain fully, and not running away from that. So it's like being fully alive, totally present, and no longer controlling our external experience and no longer escaping from what's going on. So when you feel safe in the body, you're actually breathing into the body. So if everyone notices right now who's listening, you're probably not breathing into your body. Most people are chest breathing. So if everyone just takes a nice deep breath and allows the belly to fill as you breathe in, allows it to fall to the spine as you breathe out, that's already a huge step in the right direction, just breathing.
One that's massively overlooked by a hell of a lot of people, for sure.
Yeah.
What I think is interesting is I talk a lot about mindset and psychology. So obviously my background is also yours. And it can only seem to take you so far. There's a certain point which I discovered in my own journey with you, especially, is that you get to a certain point, you understand things, you have a real good understanding intellectually of what's going on, why you're doing what you're doing. But there still seems to be that missing piece, that embodiment piece. What happens when you start to really integrate that and have a finer tuned understanding of what's going on there?
You start to clear your history from your cells and overcome your conditioning. So most people are living in the first 7 years of their life without knowing it, right? That's when our personality is set. And so everything that they experienced around them in those first 7 years is what they associate with love. It's what they consider to be normal, you know, at some level, even if consciously they don't think it, and they keep attracting those same patterns into their life. So we can understand that psychologically, right? We can go, oh, okay, so because my dad abandoned me when I was young, I keep attracting pricks who abandoned me. Or, you know, because my mum was very consuming and overbearing, I attract women who are consuming and overbearing. And then I have a fear of abandonment because my dad left me and I keep attracting that. Or I have a fear of intimacy because my mum was a pain in the ass and I keep attracting other pains in the asses. You know, I'm kind of condensing it. So in that we can go, oh, okay, so I have this pattern or this belief that love equals abandonment, or love equals enmeshment and control, or love equals that I have to look after the person that I'm with. We all develop these different associations. And if you're just dealing with it from on a psychological level or a mindset level, we go, right, I'm going to change that. I'm going to use my will. And from now on, I'm only going to have relationships where I'm not going to be abandoned. Or, you know, I release the fear of abandonment and I embrace an empowered state where love is effortless, or whatever it is. So great. Working with beliefs, working with affirmations. Great. Helpful. Meditation. I'm going to watch that fear. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to watch it. Another great tool to watch sensation in the body, to watch the fear instead of being run by that. But at the end of the day, until we actually go back to those memories, right? And we feel the trauma that's there from the abandonment, from the enmeshment, from the neglect, from the abuse, from whatever we've experienced in our lives in that first 7 years, but also our whole lives, we are going to go into that trauma response whenever we're in relationships or relating. And, you know, the reason I'm talking about relationships from the outset is because life is relationships, right? And Tantra is life. And everything we do, we're either relating to ourselves and our inner relationship, or we're relating to others and the outer relationship. And what happens in relationship is that, just say I'm in a relationship with you, when I get triggered by something, right? And it's really interesting how popular this term trigger has become. And people say, oh, I'm triggered by this, I'm triggered by that. And they've got no fucking idea actually how to deal with a trigger or what a trigger actually is. And if they did, they wouldn't be talking about it. They would be going into the sensation of the trigger. So I'm just going to, triggers are a big topic, and I'm going to condense it for everyone into something that could be potentially life-changing, which is that if you can imagine the trigger of a gun, right, which is where the word comes from. So I pull back the trigger. I'm in a relationship with you, right? I say something to you, impact. So let it impact your body, right? Huge impact. Now, with that impact, what's going to happen is the reason it's having such a big impact is because it's reminding you of something. It's reminding you of when you were in danger. It's reminding you of when your mum was being controlling, or it's reminding you of when you got caught by the cops, or it's reminding you of when you were completely neglected and left alone. Whatever it is, you're in that. So your body, and it could be a small thing, but this is why we overreact. Your body is going, I'm fucking in danger here, right? And your cortex is gone, your rational brain is gone, and you're like, I need to either run or fight. Or some people do both. So this is when we go, ah, and overreact, or we storm off and slam the door. Or we can't do either of those because we're so overwhelmed that we go into freeze. So these stress responses get activated. And no matter how much personal development you've done, no matter how many affirmations you've done, no matter how much you meditate, try to stay present in that situation without going into the body and utilizing breath, sound, and movement to bring you back home to your body. I dare anyone to try it, right? Once you're in that trigger, and then people beat up on themselves, and spirituality becomes another way that people are not loving themselves when it's meant to be all about self-love. Oh, I got triggered. I overreacted. I'm so bad. How did I do that? Why couldn't I meditate in that moment? Where did my affirmations go? Why aren't my affirmations working? I can't believe I overreacted. No one overreacts. They're reacting like they are on the face of it, but they're reacting relative to the trauma that's held in their cells. And in that moment, it feels like danger is there. So what do we do instead of that? This is the part, listeners, where I'm going to change your life.
Pay close attention here. I can vouch for this.
Okay. So you get triggered, and you just need to be aware that you're triggered. And you need to be aware that you want to fucking run or fight or freeze. And just go, okay, I'm going to stay in my body. And you breathe into your body. And then you check it out. And you go, okay, what sensations are here? What am I feeling? And if you're in freeze, then go right into that freeze. Become the ice. Be total in your experience. And then shake. Or if you're in fight, start, hitting a pillow or hitting the sides and making some sound. If you want to run, start pedaling your feet, but let the energy move in your body. Because whatever this is triggering, chances are that at the time that it happened, you were too helpless to run this instinctual body wisdom, right? Like imagine a child who's needing something from a parent, not knowing how to ask for it, or being abused from a parent, or, there's soft trauma and hard trauma. So maybe it's neglect, or maybe it's actual physical abuse. Maybe it's control, or maybe it's, like really strong verbal abuse. Whatever it is, that child's looking up at this big, scary adult. They don't know what to do, right? Or, a trauma can just be stop crying. That's traumatic. So everyone, it's okay to cry. It's okay to be angry. Let's undo that trauma. And then that child is still in the body and stuck. And there's so many things that are stuck in our body. So we want to go back to them and unstuck them by giving the permission of the body to allow how the body wanted to defend itself at that time. So once you feel into your sensations, you might get an image, or you can ask for an image and say, what is this reminding me of? And I've done this so many times, and you wouldn't believe some of the shit that comes out. Like one time, my partner, he came home and I asked him to buy carrots, and he's unpacking the shopping. I couldn't see any carrots. I'm like, where are the carrots? He said, I forgot the carrots. I'm like, you forgot the carrots? I asked you to bring the carrots and you didn't bring them. I was crying. I was
Cue
so
the psycho bitch.
I was really upset. I'm like, okay, I'm noticing that I'm really upset about this. I need to just check out what the fuck is going on here, right? So I paused, checked it out. I'm like, what's this reminding me of? And actually, it was a really distressing situation from when I was younger where something really important to me was forgotten about, right? My mum forgot my outfit for a big dance competition. So that was really devastating. And I didn't feel like she cared about that. Now, what did I want to do at that time? I wanted to say to her, how could you forget? Do I not matter to you? this is another situation? And of course I didn't, because she made excuses and I went into a bit of freeze. And we have all of these situations in our life where we haven't had a chance to express, and we suppress our emotional body, and then they get projected onto our partners. So that's like a little example. Then there's bigger examples. Like, there's been times when a partner's touching me in the bedroom and I start to feel like, pushing his hand away and screaming. And the old me before Tantra, I just would keep going and make love because that's weird. Why am I having this big reaction? But now that I can track sensation, it's like, okay, I need to pause here. Something's coming up. And then, okay, go into the sensation of that. Fuck. Oh, wow. That's really scary. And then the image coming to mind, something from the sexual abuse and that time in my life. So then can I run that stress response? So, you can just push and imagine that you're pushing someone off you, or you can shake, or you can scream and say, get the fuck off me. No. And so what you want to do is you want to allow the body to start freeing itself of all of the suppressed instinctual actions of fight and flight. And then after that, once, you've run the energy of that, you come into a space and it's like, what do I need now? And maybe you just need to hug yourself. Maybe you need to say to your partner, can you hold me? Or whatever the case is. But, there's a lot of talk in the spiritual world about asking for what you need and being vulnerable and being authentic. And you can't do that if you've got all of this stress in your body. And if you can imagine, like, this stress holds beliefs, right? And there's also a lot of talk in the spiritual world about manifestation. So if you put this thought out there that, you're going to earn $10 million, you're going to earn $10 million. And if you really feel that, you're going to attract that, right? Great, let's do that. However, if you've got beliefs in your body that are saying, I don't have any money because you were poor as a child, and you haven't worked with that belief, good fucking luck manifesting $10 million. And on that same note, just like positive beliefs, we attract those situations. Same with debilitating beliefs. So if I have a belief, men are going to hurt me from my sexual abuse, which I did used to have this belief, then that's like a knot in my body, right? And it's stopping the flow of just being in my naturalness and being able to be authentic in the world. I've got this block here that I can't trust men. So every time I'm around men who could potentially hurt me, which is anyone I could have a relationship with, right? This knot is like really activated. I'm contracting, and this belief goes out to the world. I can't trust men. So guess what? I attract men who I can't trust. So until I go into this belief I can't trust men, and I really check it out instead of trying to go from zero to hero and just do my affirmations and meditation and go, I love unconditionally, I'm open to receiving love, and I trust men. And I'm going to drink this cacao to enhance that intention even more. What a load of shit, right? What I need to do is go, okay, that belief, I don't trust men, how does that feel in my body? What does that remind me of? This is the best question you can ask yourself when you're triggered, or anytime you're working on something. What is this reminding me of? What memories are there that are holding that belief? Take the belief into the body. It's like, I can't trust men. Okay. Lots of images can come in. Ex-boyfriend, boyfriend before that, the guy who abused me, my dad, I happen to have trusted a lot of women, their dad. So then we go into that and we give it breath, sound, and movement, and we speak to those people out loud. We say, hey, fuck you, you really hurt me. No, don't do that, or whatever it is we want to say. Maybe we want to cry. Where, usually people, it's anger that's most easily accessible, and then sadness. It's like, you left me all alone, and there's tears, so that we can feel all of that. And then after we felt all of that, we can claim back those lots of parts of ourselves. And it's a completion process of reclaiming wholeness in the body. And Tantra is the path to wholeness. It's like, how can I reclaim all those parts of me that are frozen in time? Because when a trigger gets activated, there's an echo to that trigger. And there's an opportunity for the most immense growth and healing. That's why relationships are such a pressure cooker, right? Because they trigger a lot of that. So I think that when you're capable of working with triggers in a relationship, then you're capable of relationship mastery. And until that time, you're not. You know, you're going to sweep things under the carpet. You're going to go into fight and flight and push-pull dynamics. There's going to be a love avoider and a love addict. The love addict's going to be a pain in the ass. The love avoider is going to be a prick, you know, and they're going to have a great codependent relationship of pushing and pulling. And then when they come together, feeling the elation of that and the, oh, we're back together again and everything is wonderful, until the person who's the love addict or in anxious attachment starts to get needy again, the avoidant runs away, the one in anxious attachment starts to get angry, the avoidant runs away even more, then the person who's insecure starts to back off, and then the avoider starts to get interested again. What a wonderful relationship. And then we have sex and everything's great, and then it all happens again. Or we have two people who can't handle any of that shit, so they just numb out, get a mortgage, have kids, watch TV every night, and have a relationship without sex.
So basically, if you listen to this right now, this is the solution to not having any of those two fucking outcomes. This is where you need to pay real careful attention.
Mm-hmm.
What you just discussed there is literally the point that I think most people don't even get to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, before, in my own experiences, I was in relationships like that where I was very much stuck at the trigger point because I never bothered to spend the time digging into what was actually going on.
Mm-hmm.
You spend time arguing about fucking carrots or who's meant to pick up what, or who is meant to do all these stupid things that are completely irrelevant to our lives, but they trigger something in us that we're completely unconscious of. Mm-hmm. So getting past that literally is stage one, right? Mm-hmm. How the fuck do you expect to move forward if you can't even work out what you're feeling and why you're pissed off? That's exactly where I was at.
Yeah, and the awareness of knowing that you're like everyone's a time bomb ready to go off. We've suppressed so much emotion. We've been trained, don't be sad, don't be angry. In the spiritual world, it's like, be high vibe, focus on the positive. You know, in the mainstream world, it's a version of that. You know, you need to get status, money, and it's all of this future outcome-oriented behavior of getting somewhere eventually. So how can we be here now, at breathing into the body, trusting our heart, trusting our desires, trusting our intuition, being in a space of alignment with who we really are? Because until we actually work through triggers, then we're just a product of our conditioning. And 97% of the population is a product of their conditioning. You want to be in the 3%, you've got to start dissolving that conditioning. So the first thing to know is, okay, if you're this time bomb who's ready to go off, right? Know that as soon as your partner pisses you off, all of that suppressed energy is going to go out on them. As soon as you get pissed, all that suppressed energy is going to come out. As soon as some dickhead in the pub pushes you the wrong way, all of that's going to come out and you're going to kill it. You're going to want to kill him, right? So everyone's walking around like this on their phones, you know, head forward, distracting, drinking, filling, either overstuffing with food or drugs or stimulation because they don't know how to be in the body. Because guess what? Since how old we are, information's going in. Learn this, get high grades, go for status, find out what you want to do in the world. Where are we taught? Be here and feel everything fully. That's the feminine path of living, is can we be here feeling everything fully? And then where the masculine comes in is the capacity to contain that, is the capacity to have enough awareness that when we're feeling everything fully, we don't just go fucking nuts and into chaos, right? We can track it. And it's the union of masculine and feminine that also stops a lot of dysfunction in relationship. So what I mean by that is we're all looking for what's missing in us. And a lot of relationships, again, I'll use us as an example, right? So I could be in a relationship with you and I'm like, you know, I don't have a lot of stability. I'm not very grounded. So I need you for grounding and stability. I'm fucked with money. I'm definitely not all of these things. Just we're just playing a part here.
She's got plenty of money. She's very grounded.
I'm very
stable. She's got everything under control. Don't think anything.
I don't even like saying.
Don't
these
fucking
words.
hit me, Shan. For fuck's sake.
My ego's like, stop saying that. Anyway. Okay, so
sorry. Back to the example. We're back in.
And this is a lot of women actually. You know, they're very polarized in their feminine, and they're needing a man for stability, for safety, right, for containment. And what that means is I can't be in relationship with you and love you properly. Because if I love you properly, I want you to do what's in your best interests. And I really learned this as a mother, what true love is. And I think people who don't have children, they really miss that initiation into unconditional love. Like, can I be in a state of loving you where you're not just here to serve me. You're not just here as a projection of my pain and pleasure. You're actually a human who deserves to be happy. And I love you enough to want whatever's in your best interest. But actually, I'm only capable of that if I don't need you to fill the missing pieces in me. So I've got nothing against asking for what you need from a partner. In fact, I highly recommend being able to do that. However, the me who asks for what I need now, which is probably every couple of months, I'll ask my partner for something that I need, is very different from the me 20 years ago who needed something every day because I didn't have my inner union. So what does inner union mean? It means that you're no longer looking for what's missing in you from another, because that's always going to lead to codependency. So, my first relationship, I got married when I was 24, and I really just didn't know how to relax or chill out. I didn't have any kind of sense of stability in my body. There was so much trauma that I kept myself very busy. And then only at nighttime I would feel this kind of anxiety that would rise. And then I would go into my husband's arms and he would make me feel really, really safe. And he was just this grounded rock of a dude, right? He's a beautiful, beautiful man. He's the father of my children. So in that stage of my life, I was getting the stability and the containment that I really needed that was impossible to give myself. Then I started to learn that, right? I started doing somatic training. I started to understand more about the nervous system. I didn't need him so much for that anymore. And I started to explore Tantra toward the end of our relationship, and mysticism in a new way, and shamanism. And I met in this shaman that I originally worked with, I ended up falling in love with. So now I don't have access to shamanism on my own, or mysticism, or, going into the deep realms of my darkness. But this man does. So great, I'm going to be with him. So I ended my 10-year marriage, and we'd started going in different directions, which I want to throw in there an important lesson of compatibility. So when we first met, we were very compatible. Our desires were aligned. Our hearts were aligned, our consciousness was aligned, we wanted the same things. And if your relationship isn't compatible, let it go now. You need to be aligned in your values, your desires, and they need to be able to meet your needs, right? Your primary needs. So that was all there. And then that started to shift. And some relationships are there just for a season, but we're conditioned less so now that, we have to go all the way and we have to stay with people. And also most people are so scared of being on their own. They'd rather be in a mediocre relationship or a good relationship that's not completely compatible than being on their own.
You can swear as much as you want.
Thanks. So unless you're compatible, not the right relationship. Okay, so we weren't compatible anymore. So now I'm with this shaman, and I was depending on him to be able to process my pain. I was new to the scene. I depended on him to go into like shamanic realms and rituals and other dimensions. So I'm like, okay, so feeling this space of codependency again, but consciously working on my inner union, because Tantra really encourages that. So I started to become aware, okay, I need to bring my own masculine in, and I need to start having conversations between my feminine and masculine. So in continuing this relationship, I realized, okay, now I've got the shaman mystic adventurer, but he's not very stable. And I don't want a relationship that's not stable. And he's not committed. He was like in the polarity of freedom. My first husband was like love and commitment. I'm like, I think I want both. I'm just going to have no relationship for a while and focus on that within me. So that relationship ended. And so I tried just the inner union thing, but I really just kept getting distracted by outer people because I didn't know how to be on my own.
You kept getting horny, Shan, didn't you?
Yeah,
That's what
I
happened.
kept getting
Yeah,
horny.
you're like,
I
want
need
some cock.
sex. Well, actually, I thought I'd go for girls this time.
Why not
I'm
mix
like,
it up?
all right, I'm gonna try a woman. Let's see if this works. I've tried the stable guy. I've tried the shaman guy. I've tried to be alone. None of those are really working. So I had a girlfriend, right? And then I started to realize what women are like and going, oh, okay, this is interesting. Oh, that's what I do when I'm in relationship. All right, I don't want to do that. Some of the things were beautiful. Some of the things were crazy. So I entered that one. And then I thought, all right, what I really want is to be with a man who is just like really stable and committed. And then he's got that mystical side to him. And I didn't have any other requests. It was just those. And I met someone very quickly who fitted that category, but he didn't want anything to do with my kids, right? He didn't want to live with me, and he was jealous as all get out, right? But I thought we could have a relationship. I could have a relationship with someone who wasn't interested in my kids. I can't believe I thought that I could do that. But again, I was settling for that because I didn't know how to be on my own. And, it was a beautiful relationship, of course. It expired well before I left the relationship. What I started to realize is that I'm looking for all of these things that are missing, trying out being with a girl, trying out being with a shaman, there was a few musicians in there, being with the stable guy, being with the mystic grounded guy. Nothing seems to be working. Yeah. So what am I going to do? Okay, I'm going to come back to the inner union, but I'm going to do it properly this time. And what I started to realize was that at the center of inner union is creating safety for myself, creating safety in relationships, creating safety to be in my body. So the commitment to my practice of really staying with my pain and staying with my pleasure increased exponentially. And I started to really, every time I got triggered, diving into that. Every time I made love, really feeling every single breath, feeling every sound, feeling everything that was moving. When I stepped outside, becoming very aware of the sensations that were touching me. And I started to balance my masculine and feminine energies so that I didn't need that missing piece anymore. Still wanted it, but didn't need it. And if the people listening, do you talk about masculine and feminine energies?
We've gone into it a little bit. I'd love you to give some real depth to it because I've had a few people touch on it and everyone's like, what the fuck is this concept? I know it's really interesting. So
I like to break it up into there's 24 hours in a day, right? What if we spent 8 hours with more masculine oriented activity and 8 hours in more feminine oriented activity, and then 8 hours sleeping, right? What does that mean? So the masculine is outcome oriented. The embodied masculine is outcome oriented. It's action. It's focused on achievement. And the divine masculine is, very connected to God, to meditation, to stillness, and to the practice. It's kind of like spiritual discipline is the masculine. The feminine is connected to receptivity and play and creativity and intuition and love and surrender. So most of us, the conditioning on the planet is pretty much to be in the masculine all the time, to let the masculine lead all the time. Like, how much of your day, listeners, and even asking yourself this question, is spent doing something because it has an outcome, or just not doing anything, right? And actually just being with sensation, being with pleasure, following your joy, feeling pain, being very, very here in the body and going, okay, like where is my bliss right now? Where is the uncomfortability? Most people spend their lives avoiding uncomfortability. And the more that you avoid your pain, the more you avoid your pleasure, because the level to which you feel your pain is the level to which you feel your pleasure.
I want to pause you there because I think that's really, really powerful, because I know in my own experiences, I avoided discomfort. The only times I would actually walk actively into discomfort is when I'm grinding towards something. Aside from that, just something I completely avoided. And I never really understood the fact that I can only really experience pleasure and joy to the extent that I'm willing to go into those deep, dark depths. And I think that's really powerful for people to understand. Can you just touch a little, before you carry on, can you touch a little bit more on that dynamic?
So it takes a lot of control. You have to control your experience in order to not feel pain, right? It's like, okay, this relationship might cause pain, so I'm going to create walls around my heart and only let them in this much. So, drama, the word drama, right? Everyone's probably familiar with, there's so much drama in this relationship. Why do we have drama? Because we're acting. We don't know how to be authentic, because we're in this protective mode of acting a certain way where actually there's an incongruence between what we're experiencing internally and what we're saying and how we're acting. Why is that? Because people aren't sitting with themselves. They don't know who they are, right? But if we're sitting with ourselves and we're feeling our pain and we're able to let people into that, we're able to be authentic in that, then guess what? We're going to experience deeper companionship. We're going to experience deeper intimacy. We're going to be feeling all of this pain fully, and our cells are going to wake up, right? Because if we're spending our lives controlling our pain, closing down our hearts, distracting from it on our phones, keeping busy in work addiction, drug addiction, whatever other addictions, social media addiction is rampant, then where is the feeling in that? It's not like if you're avoiding yourself all day, when you get into the bedroom, suddenly that you're going to feel bells and whistles, right? You're going to spend the whole time that you're having sex the way that you spend your life, which is outcome oriented, to get a 7-second ejaculatory release or clitoral orgasm that's finally going to give you some stress release from all of the pent up anger, frustration, and grief from your life.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. I want you to finish up the masculine feminine divide, and then we're going straight back to the sex.
Okay.
We're going straight back to the sex. People want to know about that for sure.
Okay. So my challenge to all the listeners is start being conscious of how you spend your time. And what would happen if for 8 hours every day, you didn't do anything that was outcome oriented? You didn't check emails. You didn't answer calls or messages other than from family and friends. You actually were in a receptive mode of listening, of like, what do I need right now? What do I want right now? What would bring me a lot of joy right now? How can I share with someone right now? Or, even people when they're going out for lunch, it's outcome oriented. It's like, I've got this problem. Can you fix it? Can we talk about work, or we're fixing someone's problems? Can I just sit here with you and go, hey, how you doing? And you actually give me an authentic answer. And I don't try to fucking fix you or coach you or do anything unless you ask me. Then, I'll have your back. And then I can share with you, hey, it's been a really hard week. And we can let each other in and we can be real with each other. Because again, the spiritual world and the mainstream world are constantly lifting people out of what's authentic and chasing something. So in the spiritual world, we're chasing high vibration and manifestation and good sometimes, puke worthy most of the time, right? And I feel like spirituality has really lost its essence. It's become a big marketplace, and I love that it's become so widespread. Like when I was at high school, I was so weird for being spiritual, which is why I just went down the cool track. It's like, all right. I remember I had the chicken pox and I got sent home, and my dad said, okay, just visualize the chicken pox gone and they'll go. Here's my dad. I listened to him, visualized, they were gone. Went to school the next day and they're like, how can you be at school? You've got the chicken pox. I'm like, no, it's gone. How did you get rid of it so quickly? I visualized my body being clear, and then it was. You can't do that. Like, just because your mind thinks something, that's not going to happen. And I started second guessing that. I started second guessing other things. And then I realized people were looking at me strangely with different things I would say. So that's why I shut that down, just to go back to that point.
I love that.
So, I don't want to be like I'm against spirituality, but I do see a lot of the damage it does. And people are using it as another outcome-oriented thing of like, right, I'm going to get here and I'm going to do, it's like, no. If you look at the word spiritual, it's rituals that connect us to spirit. What are rituals that connect us to spirit? It's anything that connects us more deeply to ourselves, because spirit is right here. Yeah. So can we have a ritualistic way of living so that life becomes a meditation? And what does that mean? It means that we're consistently aware of what's going on in here and out there. And I much prefer meditation as a life practice rather than sitting in fucking lotus for 20 hours, like 10 hours. I did Vipassana. I actually got kicked out because I self-pleasured in the dorm, but that's another sitting in these uncomfortable positions for hours at a time with spiritual obedience. To me, that's the old way. And we can use our willpower to be spiritually obedient, but what about the heart? And this is where it comes in. It's like, if life is a meditation, then we're bringing our attention to our heart, bringing our attention to our breath. We're saying, can I stay present here? And sometimes that meditation is diving into our pain. Sometimes that meditation is staying present to all of the beauty and wonder that everyone's fucking missing while their body's doing one thing and their mind is somewhere else. There is this huge disconnect between the body and the mind, and what the word psychosomatic means. And I forgot to mention I did psychosomatic training. Psycho is mind, somatic is body, and it bridges the gap between the two, right? And, that was a huge part of my training that I love to bring into the tantric work that I do. And I feel like a lot of tantric work misses the safety that's created from, the trauma therapy and psychosomatic. But what that's missing is that it doesn't address sexuality to anywhere near the same degree. It doesn't work with breath, sound, and movement in the same way. And it doesn't encourage lovemaking as part of the practice. And lovemaking is the most beautiful part of the practice into connecting with spirit. And I'll ask listeners again to maybe consider what it would be like if, before making love, you were lighting incense, you were putting candles on, you were setting up a beautiful sacred space of, okay, this is a time to love myself, to love my beloved, and to love God or spirit or the universe. And there's actually an energy that's available here that is the creative power of the universe, that creates the most beautiful thing in existence, which is a baby. Wow. And what other act creates the miracle even close to that of a child? And then to think that sexuality is just downgraded and minimized into pornography. It fucking hurts my heart, This is an act that brings our children into the planet. This is an act that merges our bodies and dissolves separation, where we can feel oneness through this magnificent body, through this temple. And then it's just put into this framework of basically everything is about the body and how beautiful the body is and coming everywhere. And it really, there's so much more to sexuality than that. And there's so much more to sexuality than what religion portrays, and abstinence, and that the body is evil. And so many spiritual practices, it's like, deny the body, forget the root chakra, forget the sacral chakra, forget these lower chakras, come up here. Why the fuck did we incarnate as humans if we were just meant to spend our lives up here? We're meant to feel the base. We're meant to feel our connection to the earth. We're meant to feel what it's like to be fucked to God. We're meant to feel pleasure all through ourselves and love this body, love this gift. Most of the time, people only connect to their bodies when they hurt themselves or when they're sick. It's like, warning, you're not fucking paying attention to me. So I'll create something, and then we feel that pain. And then we start to appreciate the body and think, when I'm better, I'm going to appreciate it, and it lasts a few days. But what if we had a practice of appreciating the body, touching the body, loving the body? Like right now, just place your left or right hand under the opposite arm's armpit. And then use the other hand to wrap around your arm and just give yourself a hug. and just kind of maybe rock a little bit. I love you. I love this body. Love the body. Love this body. Breathe into the body. Feel the heart that's the center of your whole being. Feel that heart. Breathe love into yourself right now. Breathe love into yourself. Now touch your heart and touch your belly. Breathe more love into yourself. Imagine if when you ate, you actually were loving the body when you were eating, and you weren't just lost in never-ending thoughts and achieving the outcome of eating so you can get back to work, back to what you were doing. Imagine if when you swam, you felt the water in every cell and you thanked this beautiful element. Imagine if every time you looked up at the sky, you admired the clouds and the openness and the trees blowing in the wind. Now put the hand that was on your belly on your forehead. Feel this connection between heart, belly, consciousness. Feel this beautiful, amazing life force that you have inside of you. Keep touching the body. What would it be like to have 80% of your energy in the body and 20% in the mind instead of the other way around? And you are actually living this life instead of your body doing all of this shit while your mind is somewhere else. So breathe nice and deeply. How do we access pain? How do we access pleasure? Breath, sound, and movement. So let's just spend like 30 seconds breathing, sounding, and moving. It might feel weird, but just do it anyway. Stretch if you need to. Move the body instinctually. Okay.
Now, one thing I'd love for people to think about right now, why would it seem to you stranger to be in your body in that way? Because for anybody that's not done something like that before, I'm sure they're thinking this is fucking weird.
Mm-hmm.
How bizarre is it that we live in a time and a world where just being with yourself is considered more weird than wanking yourself off to midget porn? How is that even a thing?
You know, and if you look at children, they know, right? They're like laughing and playing, and when they're upset, they're screaming or crying, and they're fully alive, right? And the reason it becomes so weird is because adults, well-meaning adults and teachers say, sit down, or give them a dummy, or say, shh, 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 it's okay, or don't be angry. And so what happens? We start suppressing all of that, right? Or we're masturbating in a way that like is exploratory and not focused on the outcome, because we don't even know that we can come or have a quick orgasm. And someone says, stop doing that, right? That's bad, that's evil, or what are you doing? So we start to be scared and we start to be contracted. And, you know, when you're pornography, pleasure is felt at the end through tension, right? There's all this tension, tensing up of the body, and I've got to get that outcome. And it's hard work, right? Building up to that. And then you have the stress release. But if you're there and you're just feeling as you're going, instead of that pornographic, you know, outcome-oriented behavior where everything is about how the body looks and chasing the outcome, as opposed to energy and breath, sound, and movement. So energy, breath, sound, movement, and meditative awareness while you're making love. While you're making love, not just to another, but to life. We can make love to all of life. Lovemaking is existing, and existing is a lovemaking act. Because what's lovemaking? It's like breathing in sensation, breathing in something outside of you. You know, of course, it's much more intense when it's another human. But what happens if you're breathing in sensation and you're actually aware of taste and smell and what you're feeling and touching? Most of us aren't. We're just lost in our minds. So, you know, the other invitation for today is to bring 80% of your attention into the body. And the way you're going to do that is to start dedicating 8 hours of your day into a more receptive mode of living. To go, okay, I'm going to spend 80% in my feminine. What's the feminine? The feminine is receptivity. It's feeling everything fully. It's surrendering, right? It's going with the flow. It's fluidity. It's circular. It's not outcome oriented. What's the masculine? That's your other 8 hours. It doesn't have to be all in one chunk. That's when we're in the doing, right? And I'm in a phase of my life at the moment where I've overworked so much and just driven my body into such a state of exhaustion that I have needed some time to just be completely in my feminine for most of the day, right? So sometimes we have to swing the pendulum the other way. So, even though I found Tantra, discovered in a union, and started to realize these things, I then went on a mission to start my own academy, which is the Embodied Awakening Academy, and started writing like a motherfucker, not sleeping. I had this mission in the world that I wanted to create, and no regrets, but, building a team. I've written 7 books. I just finished another book, which is a practitioner training, and it's a year-long online course. That fucking killed me. And I really hadn't cottoned on to what I'm talking about right now, which is the 888. I wasn't sleeping enough. I was spending way too much time in my masculine. And I thought it was okay because I was infusing it with a lot of intuition and creativity. But it's not okay unless you're spending a balanced time of like really receiving life. And people don't usually do that until they're either dying or they've fallen apart. And you don't need to get to a health crisis before you realize that. And I can't stress enough how important it is to really live your life while you're here instead of watching it go by, instead of focusing on some future happiness. Oh, when this happens, I'll have freedom. When it's bullshit, right? And at the end of the day, I had to get to the point of like, it doesn't matter how much money I have. It doesn't matter how much I'm achieving or what status I have. And the ironic thing is that since I did that, I'm making more money than ever, right? I'm more unavailable than ever, which means that somehow people are more interested in me, right?
They want to give you more money.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're aligned with yourself and you're aligned with the natural rhythm of contraction and expansion, masculine, feminine, dark, light, pain, pleasure, miracles start to happen because you start to return to your essential nature. And what is returning to your essential nature? Nietzsche, one of my favorite philosophers, he maps out evolutionary development into 3 stages, right? And he says the first stage of development, and when we're on the spiritual path, we're camels, right? We're like in the desert, we're doing it hard, we're filling up the humps, we're gathering information, and we're having that paradigm shift. All right, life's pretty shit like this. Life seems better if I'm going to be doing this stuff, right? So I'm going to learn more about that. But it's still like, we're the camel, we're filling up our humps with all of that information. And then the second stage is the lion phase, where we're like, you know what? Fuck the conditioning. Fuck government. Fuck being controlled. Rah! I'm gonna branch out. I'm gonna get wild, but we're rebelling against something, right? But there's a leadership in that, and it feels good, and we're coming more alive, and we're starting to explore what it's like to be more animalistic. And then the final stage, where we're in our most evolved stage, is we've returned to our emotional and our erotic innocence. We're like a child. We're not analyzing. We're not using fancy spiritual terminology. We're living. We're relating. When we desire something, we're like, it was so beautiful watching my kids in a playground. They wanted to play with someone. They'd go over and say, hey, can I play with you? Right? They didn't want to play with someone. I don't want to play with you anymore. And they'd walk away. No drama, because they're not acting. They're being themselves. And we've all got these fucking masks where we're acting a certain way because we don't want to offend this person. We don't want to offend that person, or we want to appear this way or that way. It's all just rubbish. So if we can return to a childlike state, I'm not suggesting we be childish. We return to a childlike state of experiencing life fully and in our authenticity. That to me is the ultimate enlightenment. That's embodied awakening.
And that's where you're at right now.
I feel like most of the time that's where I sit now.
I see you like that most days. I see you bouncing around on the trampoline in the morning. Like, just to give some context to this, we live together. We live in what's called the Tantra house, and it's hilarious. There should be a reality TV show about this place. It's fucking hilarious. Like, people are naked all the time doing their thing, and in the morning, Shan's bouncing around with their headphones in on a fucking trampoline, then doing yoga and stuff. It's absolutely hilarious.
And people are screaming and crying or moaning in pleasure or rolling around on the grass. It's like we're living in our naturalness.
It's great
right?
fun. I absolutely love it. I go from being like really businessy. I'm here like at the Platinum University studio. We're getting shit done. We're making stuff happen. We're doing webinars. We're creating videos, and then I'm naked in the house, sitting there in the sun, playing the guitar, having a great time. Oh.
It's beautiful. I love it when I'm bouncing and you're playing guitar.
It's good
I put
times,
my headphones
right?
down. I'm just like, I'm bouncing a Joe now.
It's good time.
Yeah.
I love what you create for people in your framework. I think it's really valuable because you frame it in a very different way. So, for example, when you're talking about the 8 hours masculine, 8 hours feminine, so a lot of people have a morning routine. A lot of people will include not looking at their phone during that time. And it'll involve meditation, it'll involve moving their body, or different variants of this. And what they're actually doing is having that alone time, spending time with themselves. They're not aware of it outside of your framework. And then what happens is then they move on, they go about their day, and maybe they spend 10 hours working or whatever. Now they're going into this kind of masculine stage more. And it's the same principles. People are doing the things, but then they don't have that framework around it, which then makes it more difficult to understand, I think, for a lot of people. Because when you suddenly break it down and you realize that time by yourself in the morning, spending time with yourself, creating that inner union, as you've explained it, makes you really fucking happy and connected. You need that. And then obviously you need the kind of masculine side of where you're going to get some shit done. Like, everyone needs to get something done. And I think when you put that framework around it, it makes it very clear to understand why we need these different pieces and what it's creating, rather than just saying, oh, you need to meditate and clears your head, or yeah, you need to do some work, it gives you some money. It's like, no, you're doing these different elements that help create in a union. And I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, and one thing I want to make clear is, like, in the 8 hours you're in your masculine, the feminine's not gone, but you're leading with your masculine. So, of course, your intuitive powers, your creative powers, play can be part of that, right? And then the 8 hours when you're in your feminine, that masculine is still being fully present and driving wherever she wants to go. So I wanted to make that clear, because as you touch on inner union and the daily practice, it's like the daily practice fits into either the masculine or the feminine leading, depending on what your intention is when you do your practice. So if you're sitting down to your practice and the goal is to get clear for the day, right? And to be spiritually obedient, then it's more masculine. If your practice, the intention is to self-pleasure and feel your body, or, melt and feel everything fully, or, tune into what you need and give yourself what you need, that's more in the feminine. So, if you're more in your feminine or your masculine by virtue of what it is that you're doing. And just remember, and this is a lot of content that all of you are learning. I have amazing online courses that go into depth of all of this.
Check that shit out. I'm giving it a shout out now. I've done a lot of work with Shan personally, and I can honestly say it's changed my life in many ways. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, and what I'm really passionate about, and I love where you and I connect on this, is that when I created the Academy, I wanted somewhat of a university or a library for people, because in my tantric journey, I'm like, where's the book that maps this and this and this and this? And there weren't any books. There's scriptures, there's the Vigyamparava Tantra, which is 5,000 years old. And, there's full of aphorisms. And I'm like,
I'm not
I just
gonna read
need
that.
something practical. Right. So, on the online course, there's 150-page manuals. There are 8-week courses with discourse and meditations and anything that's drawn you. There's like different online courses on relationship, igniting your power, all these sacred sexuality. So whatever's drawn you, if you want to dive deeper, dive deeper. Otherwise, just keep in mind that what you have available to you is wholeness, and that whatever you're wanting in the opposite sex, if you tune into that, you can call that into your own being, so that when you do get into a relationship, you're not coming as a half-empty cup that needs the other person. You're coming from a full cup that can overflow into the other person with love, and say, you know what? I'm whole, you're whole. What I'm interested in is what serves your best interests. you don't need to be here to fulfill my expectations. That doesn't mean that we don't have desires and say, you know, like, hey, Joe, I'm feeling a bit sad. I really need more quality time with you. And that will make me feel more important. Of course, you can ask for what you need. But there's a difference between asking for what you need and being needy. And the needy people are the ones who don't feel complete unto themselves. So Tantra is a path to find that completion and wholeness.
Wow, I think that's like a mic drop moment now. I think that's an amazing point to end on.
Mm-hmm.
I would love for you to tell people exactly where they can find your material. Obviously, I said it before.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to say on a personal note, like the amazing impact you've had on my life in terms of your teachings, the experiences I've been through with you.
Mm-hmm.
They've been hugely, hugely profound. And I'm lucky enough that I was open-minded enough. I come from a very different world to this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm grateful for my own courage to jump into these things. And on the other side of that is some absolutely amazing teachings that I would encourage anybody to jump into, because it will have an impact on your relationships, on your business, on your life as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And your teachings are just so, so powerful. And the more people that hear about them, the better the world will be, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So please just tell people where they can find everything that you're doing, where they can connect with you more.
Mm-hmm. I want to say first, though, that everyone who's involved in Platinum University and with Joe is in amazing hands, because likewise, you've really impressed upon me, and I can't believe how open you are and how quickly you change and embody everything that you learn. It's been great having this conversation. It's always great talking to you, and I have so much respect for you and the level of humility you have to really take something on and then apply it to your life, and really be in your masculine and your feminine. I feel you as someone who's really strong and powerful and embodied in your action and purpose and leadership. And then I also find you to be so warm and beautiful and in your play and connected to music and creativity and sweetness and softness. So I love that you're in my life, and I love you.
Thank you. I love you too, Shan. I'll see you on the trampoline.
Yeah,
I'll be there with the guitar.
So where can you find me? So free resources. I like to have a lot of those. I've got amazing blogs on my website and an awesome podcast, Sex, Love, Freedom podcast. There's live material from my retreats and workshops and interviews with people. Get onto those. The online courses are for those people who are really wanting to change shit up, right? And go deep. So if you go onto the Embodied Awakening website, maybe put a link somewhere.
Will do.
You can jump on the online course page. There's relationship material, relationship tantra, sacred sexuality, ignite your power, which is all about shadow work, soul-centered business. And this is an avenue of going on a journey to uncover yourself, basically, and start to feel safe in your body and discover practices that really lead to that safety, so that you can feel more pleasure in the bedroom, you can feel safer in your relationships and more connected to life and to what's available to you in life. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you
You're
for coming in.
welcome. Thank you.
Let's get some food.
Yeah, let's do it.
This is the Platinum Podcast.